Welcome to WNBA Hoop Streams presented by Google, and welcome into Studio E here in Bristol, Connecticut. I'm Sam Ravech alongside Ari Chambers, and the Hall of Famer Rebecca Lobo is in studio with us as well. We are here to get you caught up on everything that's been going on in the W, as well as lead you into the 4th annual Commissioners Cup Championship at the top of the hour. Guys, it is a great matchup as well coming up tonight, right? Out of the Eastern Conference, you got the Liberty, who are trying to repeat, become the first team to do that in the Commissioners Cup trophy era. And then you got on the Western Conference, you got the Minnesota Lynx, who have surprised everybody this year, including their opponent, who they have already beaten already this year back on May 25th. They beat them by 17 points, too. That was, I think, kind of awakening for the rest of the league to try and see how great this team actually is. But your initial thoughts on this matchup tonight, Ari?
I think both teams are sinking right now, and so just seeing who can capitalize off that momentum.
Sinking with a Y and not an I.
That's right.
Because very different meanings.
Yes, that's great. That's dynamite drop in.
But you know what? That first matchup, can we even reference, because New York looked so uncharacteristically bad.
Yeah.
And Stewie acknowledged that in the pregame presser, like, hey, this was not our game. The Lynx had control from the very beginning. So the Liberty has made adjustments throughout. That was coming off of a loss to Chicago. So the New York Liberty has had to come into Jesus with themselves and said, hey, we have to make adjustments to not have this situation happen again.
Sandy Brondello, I've done a couple of the Liberty games since they had that 2-game losing streak, and she points to that and says their team learned how to play better with one another after that. Their spacing was poor. They were being a little bit selfish with the basketball, and they have changed things around, but you can't take away what Minnesota did in that game, shooting 50% from 3. They were on fire from deep. They played really, really well defensively. Jonquel Jones got into foul trouble. She was really limited, but certainly New York has looked very different since that 2-game
with those threes, you know, the Lynx are leading the whole league in three-point shooting percentages. So they're very efficient from the three-point line.
And by the way, for those who say that this game doesn't really mean a ton to the players, like, just sit down, be quiet, because all you got to do is just listen to what Tisha Heidemann said. She said, quote, I need that win. I need that money. Because you get $500K as well as a ton of charitable donations come into play here. 5 regular season games, chopped down from 10 last year. The Liberty went 5-0 in their run for a chance to repeat. The Lynx were close behind. They went 4-1. Had the tiebreaker with Seattle there. New York is leading the league, 88 points per game. Like you said, the three-pointers are there as well. Great defensive team. The Lynx, first in the league in assists with 24. Their defense has been an underappreciated part of their game. Sabrina Ionescu played a huge role in the cup-clinching game against Connecticut. She led the team with 24 points, added a couple of three-pointers as well to help her become the new fastest player in WNBA history to reach 300 made threes. 7 fewer games than the great Diana Taurasi needed to reach that mark. So the Liberty won all 5 of their Commissioners Cup games, which earned them home court advantage. Turns out that that's not the case, because the NBA draft will be taken over the Barclays Center, and that shifts the Commissioners Cup Trophy Championship game out to Long Island and UBS Arena, where the New York Islanders play. So, Rebecca, I mean, how much of an impact does this have on either team, but really specifically for the Liberty, who earned home court advantage?
Yeah, I don't think it has any impact on Minnesota. They're flying to an away arena to play the game no matter what. I think for the New York Liberty, number one, your routine is a little bit different, because instead of just walking to the arena and going through your pregame ritual, you're getting there in other ways. You think they trained or bust?
You know, walked.
Yeah.
I would have taken it. By the way, anybody that says it's like a 30-minute drive out there, it's not.
It's
I mean,
literally
if you've
not,
been on the LA, you know that is an hour drive out to UBS.
But I think the biggest thing, and you can speak about this better than I can because you go to so many Liberty games, is it is has one of the best environments in all of the WNBA. And I cannot imagine they're going to get 15,000 people that they probably would have gotten at Barclays Center to UBS Arena. So that could have some sort of an impact.
But a small caveat. The entertainment team will bring it because they are it. Yes. They are that girl. Ellie will be present. She is already warming up, and we can see her just bringing smiles to everybody alongside the court.
All right, so let's talk about the Minnesota Lynx. Again, a team that I don't think too many people outside of the state of Minnesota thought too highly of to start the year. There were a lot of unknowns coming into this season for this team, but here they are atop the Western Conference with a 3-game lead. Rebecca, how have they done it?
They've done it by bringing in the right pieces, and not the flashiest pieces in free agency. Those went to Seattle with Skylar Diggins-Smith, Nneka Ogwumike being signed out there, or those players went to Phoenix, Kalia Copper, and bringing in a point guard as well. So This is a team that brought in pieces that were the right fit. Alana Smith has been outstanding for them as sort of an undersized 5 inside. Courtney Williams has been terrific running the point guard position for them. So it wasn't the flashiest moves in free agency, but it was certainly the pieces that have come together and played really well for Minnesota.
I am looking at Miss Kayla McBride because she is having almost a 50-50-90 season, and it's her birthday today. Happy birthday, Kayla.
How about that, huh?
She's shooting 45.6 from the field, 46.4 from the 3, and 89.1% from free throws. But you know what? It's vintage Kayla McBride, because if you don't know what she played like in Notre Dame, hey, it is what it is.
Not only vintage Kayla McBride, this might be the best season she's
doubt.
had throughout her career. And not only on the offensive end of the floor, she is an outstanding defender, one of their premier defenders in terms of what she does on the perimeter for them. So not only shooting the ball incredibly well, but she gets it done on both ends.
We'll see what she can do tonight on her birthday. I'm sure that she will have a lot of fans cheering for her. Maybe? No?
In New York, in
Probably.
Long Island,
In Minnesota.
No happy birthday will be sung for Kayla McBride tonight.
No, they're
that's safe
actually
to say.
wishing the worst.
Yes, that's safe to say. So like we mentioned at the top of the show, the Lynx have already beaten this Liberty team a couple of weeks ago. 7 different players hit at least 1 3 for Minnesota. That was a big part of that game. They combined for 14 made threes. Who do you think can take more away from that game, Ari, that they played back on May 25th?
The Liberty can take more away. They had an embarrassing loss, so they have to make adjustments to turning it around. It's known that if you beat somebody, then you kind of rest on that laurel. You rest on what caused you to win. But if you lose, you take more lessons from that game, and I think that they took some big lessons from it.
And for the New York Liberty, they had that 2-game losing streak. We've already mentioned that, and it really kind of changed things for them. They've become a much more unselfish team since then. Their last 4 games, they've had at least 25 assists in each of those games. And in that game against Minnesota, Jonquel Jones was held only 4 points on 1 of 5. She got into foul trouble. Again, she should have the size advantage against Alana Smith. So it'll be interesting to see today if New York can take better advantage of their inside game.
It's the foul trouble that I'm worried about. Like with Jonquel, you see that when she's not in it, it's a different mode for her. Her demeanor is different. Her presence is different. And I think that when she gets herself into down situations, it's hard for her to crawl back out of that. And so I'm looking at Jonquel Jones in New York. Like, how are you going to dictate the energy of your team this game?
Well, how are they going to do it? I mean, how does New York win this game? Obviously, they're not playing at their home. They're not playing on their home floor, but they will have their home fans.
You know, Fee is going to be Fee. Nafisa Collier is going to be Nafisa Collier. If I am New York, I'm placing emphasis on stopping Kayla McBride.
Okay, fair enough. What does Minnesota need to do?
Cheryl Reeve addressed this directly in their post game of their last game. She said, we need to shoot the 3-ball well. It's going to come down to the 3-ball.
Again, yeah.
Shooting it well and defending it well. They did both of those things when they met New York a few weeks ago. They shot 50%. They held New York in the 20s. So that's going to be a huge key. But I also think Jonquel is a huge piece of this. I can't imagine she's going to go 1 for 5 again in this game.
I think that they need to make sure that they get on the glass. Defensively, the defensive, like you have to stop the possessions of the Minnesota Lynx and deny Kayla. I know I've been mentioning Kayla a lot, but let me read this. She is leading the league in catch and shoot threes as of last week. So if you can stop her, disrupt her from like getting the ball and just shooting it, if she can put the ball down, that would be great for New York to do.
Okay, we'll talk about this matchup coming up in just about 20 minutes, a little bit later on in our show. There have been so many great storylines. We're not even halfway through the WNBA season, right? Unfortunately, we also have had some injuries. That is par for the course here. And Cam Brink was selected to play for the 3-on-3 national team out in Paris in just over a month. Unfortunately, a week after the roster was announced, her Sparks were playing the Connecticut Sun. The first quarter, she sustained a knee injury. Turned out that was an ACL injury. It was announced yesterday, however, that the replacement for Cam will be her teammate. Darica Hamby will take her spot. Hamby obviously has extensive experience playing for the U.S. 3-on-3 team. So how does her addition affect the makeup of this team, Rebecca?
Well, first of all, Cameron Brink was an outstanding 3x3 player, and one of the things that she brought that it's really hard to replace is her shot blocking prowess. So that is going to be hard for them. But Darica brings a different skill set, and they had their training camp in Springfield in this spring, and I was able to go and watch a couple of the sessions, and Darica looked really good in that. She's a really good rebounder. She has range out to 3. She does some things that really fit the 3x3 3x3 game well. What she brings that Cam doesn't necessarily is a different physicality, in particular on the defensive end of the floor. She's had a great start to the season so far for LA, but I think she's going to be a really nice fit here.
I agree, and she has a maternal aspect about her. She knows the 3x3 game, and I would argue that the reason she's having such a good WNBA season this season is because 3x3 has really helped you develop your game. And what people don't realize is 3x3 is such a different style than 5-on-5. And so, Rebecca, I know you can talk about that a lot more, but De'Erica is perfectly fit for the 3x3 game.
It is very different. It is very different because it's half court, the way the rules are. So you get a point for a bucket inside, and you get 2 points for 3. So the hardest part is defensively not helping. You never, if somebody gets blown by, you kind of let them go unless you can block the shot because you don't want them to be able to kick out for a 3 because that's worth double the amount of points. Anyway, there's a lot of different strategy involved in 3x3. So her experience, especially the recent experience by participating this spring, is huge.
And by the way, we have a lot of newcomers, new fans to the W this year. For those who have not seen the 3x3, it is like electric factory.
Yes.
Like
It's so stressful.
You have to dial it in. That is such a cool part of the Olympics that I highly recommend you tune into. And by the way, it's going to be a great team that the U.S. is fielding. One player on USA Basketball just made her WNBA season debut, and that would be the Las Vegas Aces guard Chelsea Gray. Missed the first 12 games of the season because she was still dealing with that lingering foot injury that she sustained in the finals last year. What kind of turnaround can we now expect from the Aces? But more importantly, what kind of turnaround can the Aces fans expect? Because I think the panic meter was a little bit high to start the year.
I think you've already seen it a little bit. We saw her first game back and Chelsea Gray coming in off the bench. They played against Seattle, and it was Vegas's best defensive performance of the year. And then their second game since Gray came back, they beat Connecticut. So 2 really good teams. And you think, well, Chelsea Gray, how is she making them better defensively? She communicates so well. She talks so well. And we did a Vegas game right before Chelsea came back, and Becky Hammond was saying to us, she's not a player who ever beats you with her quickness or her athleticism. She beats you with her brain and her high basketball IQ. And she said, that's still there. So even as her body is working its way back into kind of form, especially that first game, she had 7 assists in 17 minutes. Offensively, she brings that. Defensively, she communicates so well, it's going to make everybody else better.
Well, and you can speak to this too. I mean, just having a leader like her, an experienced player on your team, like, I got to imagine psychologically that helps this team out, right?
Without question. And it puts everybody back into their natural position once she gets back into that starting lineup. But now Plum doesn't have to bring the ball up, and Jackie Young doesn't have to bring the ball up, and you still do want A'ja Wilson bringing the ball up the way she has been. But it just gives everyone that comfort level because they know that they're kind of, coach on the floor.
No doubt. And since her return, by the way, the Aces are 2-0. They got a good road test coming up against Chicago on Thursday night, so that'll be something to keep an eye out for. All right, so Olympics are coming up in just over a month, so too is the WNBA All-Star Game. So let's go ahead and take a look at what fans are searching for, presented by Google. Searches for WNBA All-Star voting leaders spiked 450% in the U.S. over the past week. Voting's going to wrap up on Saturday, but here's an update on who is leading the way right now. I mean, look at those vote numbers, by the way. Talk about growing the game. My goodness, A'ja Wilson leading the way, 217,000 votes. Caitlin Clark, of course, right behind her. Leah Boston was a starter as a rookie last year. Stewie, right up there, the reigning MVP. What do you think of this list? Top 10 here, Ari?
I think that it checks out. I mean, this is a great mix of popularity and skill set. These are who people want to see. There's nobody on this list I would take off. I am a big critique about voting because I'm like, 5-on-5 already makes it there, but I know there's semantics behind that. But I love the list and how it has come into play right now.
My question is, where are Seattle fans and where are Connecticut fans? They don't have any players.
You gotta get out and vote for your players.
I mean, you don't have NECA on here. You don't have Jewel, and this is all the fans. You don't have Alyssa Thomas or Dewana Bonner on here. Yeah. The fans need to get out and vote. Actually, Cheryl Reeve in her last press conference got on her fans and said,
"Do you think Cheryl's gonna get out on something?"
Taylor McBride deserves to be in, but at least they have a player. Let's get the Pacific Northwest and our little lovely state of Connecticut to get to vote.
I want people to know that it's a comprehensive list, right? I want people to know that. Take it from game one, because I'm a big Dejanay girly, and I want Dejanay to make this All-Star team. And I'm looking at the whole body of work from this season, and I just want her to inch her way on up.
I mean, learn how to figure out your app, and then it's beautiful. The WNBA sends you an email with a countdown that tells you when your 24 hours are over, in case you can't figure that out yourself, and then you can vote again. And they have the double days too.
Double days.
It feels kind of like tap the last minute. Maybe the Connecticut Sun fans are like waiting to the last minute.
Or you file for an extension. You can't do that here.
You cannot do that here. You cannot do that here.
I'm side-eyeing.
We've talked a lot about the growth of this game and how great it is, and now we're seeing an influx of fans, record TV numbers, record attendance numbers across the league. But you look at the voting participation too, and Connecticut Sun fans. I mean, we got to boost this up a little bit here. But I mean, look at these numbers. We talk about the health of a league. I think this is kind of it in a graphic right here when you see the participation from the fans here, Ari.
We've been really critical about how the conversations are going, but I love the discussion. We've seen a scale up. The numbers alone just show you like exponentially more people are locked in, tuned in, and really, really pushing their favorites. And so I can't wait to see what the final numbers are, but it's a good indication that the league is going in the right direction.
Yeah.
I'm glad there's not a comment section.
Yeah, please no comments. Just give us numbers. We don't need comments at all.
I mean, the league's exploded this year.
Yep.
It has. We've seen it in television ratings. You mentioned that. We've seen it in ticket sales. Here is a perfect example of just the interest. I mean, I'm eager to see once the final vote tally comes back how many times it is what it was at the the final vote tally last year.
All right. So who do we think will make the All-Star team that was not on that top 10? Is there any player?
John Jones.
Yeah, that was a quick answer.
Yeah,
there.
that's easy. I think
New York will rise up.
Kayla McBride will be another one. Neko Gwumike should be there as well.
My heart says Dejanay.
DeWanna Bonner.
Alyssa
Alyssa Thomas. Like there are plenty, and it's interesting too because of the dynamic of it being all stars against Olympians and some.
So we'll see Alyssa regardless. Let's put our votes toward DeWanna and Dejanay for Connecticut fans.
It is going to be hot out in Phoenix in about a month. Two of the top 10 vote getters, by the way, for the All-Star game, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, went head-to-head on Sunday in the Rookie Rumble. Let's take a look back at that game.
The games and the individual performances consistently live up to the hype.
Yes.
I want to be great.
Fifth three in the game for Clark.
What a game Angel Reese has had here today.
And Chicago has a 4-point lead. Boston stuck on an island. It's a 1-point game. Clark, Boston, the jumper off the mark. Chicago for their first win of the season against the Fever.
I'm a dog. You can't teach that. I'm going to go out and do whatever it takes to win it. Now I do what it takes. I do what it takes. I do what it takes.
All right, by now we all know Stewie, the defending Commissioners Cup champions, New York Liberty, but you may not be so familiar with Minnesota. So let's check out their LinkedIn profile to get to know this team a little bit better. If you're looking for a reliable candidate, guys, for a potential spot in the 2024 WNBA Finals, look no further than this Minnesota Lynx team because they really have it all, and it starts with their resources, right? I mean, that's one of the key things when it comes to picking a team to maybe make a deep run into the postseason. This is an experienced team, an unselfish team. All 5 starters have at least 5 years of experience in the league, Rebecca, and it starts at the top with Nafisa Collier.
Nafisa Collier has having an MVP type of season already, and she fits so beautifully with what Minnesota wants to do on both ends of the floor.
Yeah, I agree. And she has a lot of help around her, right? Nobody can really stop Fee. She's making a dominant presence for herself. But how about Courtney Williams? Courtney Williams, I always think mid-range mommy for her, but she has really taken over the point guard position this year and said, hey, Cheryl, I can deliver as a leader for this team.
I don't know what it was, but this team was picked to finish 9th in the ESPN preseason poll, really counted out by a ton of people. All right, nobody thought that they would be here, but yet here they are with all of their resources. And you think a 10-year vet like Kayla McBride, right? She's shooting almost 50% from 3, Rebecca. She's been a huge part to this team.
But think about the different free agent acquisitions that were made by other teams, right? Seattle made a big splash. They bring in Neko Gwumike. They bring in Skylar Diggins-Smith. Phoenix brings in Kalia Copper. They bring in Cloud at the point guard position. These guys brought in Alana Smith and they brought in Courtney Williams. Well, you didn't realize that those players were going to fit perfectly and do exactly what they needed them to do in this system. And Smith has been so impressive to me because she's playing the 5 spot as an undersized player at 6'4". She's shooting the best percentages of her career, shooting 45% from 3, banging, getting it done inside, and then spreading them offensively with her prowess on the perimeter. So I don't think people expected it because they weren't as flashy in terms of their free agent signings, but hey, they have been perfect for this roster.
They have been perfect, and they have the resources. They also have have the skills to get it done. So let's take a look at their skills department here. I'm going to start with the defense here, guys. Understated part of their game. They're the only team in the league holding opponents to a shooting percentage south of 40%. They also lead the league in forced turnovers at 16 a game. So what about that part of their game, Rebecca, do you like the most?
They just play solid man-to-man defense for the most part. They'll sprinkle in some zone, but they're not teams that are switching 1 through 4 or switching 1 through 5. They are staying with their players, but they are outstanding help defenders. And when they get into rotation, they really close out on the opponent's three-point shooters. They're leading the WNBA in three-point defensive field goal percentage.
Ari, how about their offense too? Because they can shoot with the best of them, they can score with the best of them, but it's a compilation of all these players that get it done.
Absolutely. Again, knowing their roles. And Rebecca mentioned Alana Smith putting up great numbers, but how about Kayla McBride's numbers? She has been a force this season. She's almost at a 50-40-90. I mean, she has 46%, 46%, and I think 89%. So she's really playing vintage Kayla McBride, and I love to see that coming for her.
On a 5-game winning streak, they haven't lost since June 7th. They currently own the best record, like we said, in the Western Conference. They got a comfortable 3-game lead over Seattle, too. So they have really kind of cemented themselves, at least in the minds of many, as a potential team to make a deep run into the postseasons. All right, so we got the resources. We got the skills. We're missing something. We're missing the experience factor to this team as well. And we mentioned it too. Cheryl Reeve has been at the helm of this team since 2010, 14th season. She's an experienced coach, and she now has some experienced players around her, Ari, to help kind of guide this team.
Yeah, who are we to ever doubt Cheryl Reeve as a coach and a GM? What she does, she expresses to them exactly what she wants from them preseason, and they have met it.
And you got a chance, actually, to catch up with one of their really key players and new point guards as well to this team, Ari, right?
I sure did. You know, Courtney Williams, she said, you know what? I'm going to be the extension of Cheryl Reeve and see what she needs me to be.
When you think Cheryl Reeve, you think Courtney Williams.
It's so funny because they're so polar opposite, but they're bought into each other. And so I got a chance to talk to her pregame, so let's check it out. We are here with the mid-range master of the Minnesota Lynx, Courtney Williams, and I'm just happy to see my dog today, Hank.
What up with you?
I've been so privileged to be able to watch you really shine on this lethal Minnesota Lynx team, and seeing you finding your footing on this team has been beautiful. So how have you found your footing, and what role do you play within the Lynx organization?
I mean, I'm the point guard. Cheryl was straight up with me right from the beginning, right when free agency was going on. She said, look, we want you to be our point guard. We want you to run this team. And honestly, I couldn't believe it because my first year playing point guard was last year. So I'm like, word, me? You want me to be your point guard? But, you know, she saw something in me that, you know, I didn't so much see in myself, but it's been working out great for me, man, and for our team.
What has that adjustment been like? What have you had to tweak? How have you had to reposition your thinking too?
Nah, my whole mentality got to change. You know, I'm used to just having to go out there and just go get a bucket, go get some extra rebounds. Now I got to know where everybody got to be on the floor. I got to understand the pace of the game. I got to understand how to keep temperatures where they need to be. Pretty much an extension of the coach. So it's a way bigger responsibility than what I'm used to. But like I said, I got so much help around me with my teammates and with this coaching staff that it's been making it pretty seamless for me.
As an extension of the coach, I know Cheryl had to take you aside and say, these are the expectations for the Minnesota Lynx as a whole. So what expectations did she set for you all as a team going into the season, and how have y'all been able to meet those?
I think just our identity being defense. You know, we understand that if we go out there and we defend every night the way we know that we can defend, we're going to put ourselves in position to win the game. So I think that's our identity, and that's what we lean on.
Many people didn't believe that y'all would be this good.
They had us ninth. I think they had us like ninth. Not everybody saying they understand what's going on.
Now you have a Commissioners Cup, honey. You at the top of the ranks.
We knew what time it was for us.
Well, how were y'all able to prove everybody wrong?
I mean, just consistency. And like I said, we have so many humble people on our team. Everybody on our team is so coachable. And we just an egoless group. Like, I think that we just want to win. So we play selfless basketball. And I think sometimes that's not so flashy. Sometimes that's not so hyped up. But at the end of the day, we go out there and we get wins.
I love how you always like channel that inner dog, the dog mentality. We know you a dog. So who else on the Minnesota Lynx have you been very impressed with? That you're like, she a dog.
Man, all us. Man, when I tell you, I think we got the deepest depth when it comes to just who we have on our team. Like, we don't fall off. we get our starters out of the game and we go to our bench, they coming in with that energy as well. So I think it's just the depth of our group that's going to make us tough to match up against any team.
You and the New York Liberty have momentum going into this game. So how are you going to stop the New York Liberty's momentum?
I mean, we know that they have some amazing players, and they've been meshing well as of late. So like I said, we just got to go out there and play our defense, play our basketball, and like I said, hopefully we put ourselves in position to go get that money, man.
Speaking of money, you've been looking like wealth this season. Talk about your style, Courtney, because you've been stepping, honey.
Appreciate it. Nah, I mean, I just been putting it on. You know, I've been putting it on, but you know, it's just me. It's always been me.
Thank you so much, Courtney. Go get ready for your game.
Come on, man. Let's get to it.
She said the money is the motive. Y'all heard that?
I'm not a Williams fan, man. She's cool.
She's great.
She's a vibe, man. That's awesome. And her game obviously complements that as well. So, all right, let's switch gears here. Let's talk MVP. We know it's not even halfway through the WNBA season yet, but we wanted to kind of gauge the room here, see where we're at for MVP voting. I don't think there's going to be much contention as to who is at the top spot, right? I mean, A'ja Wilson, we're all in consensus there. I think has done things that, quite frankly, we haven't really seen. And just when you think there isn't another level, A'ja takes it there. But here's the top 5 that you guys have put together. Your thoughts on this list and how you kind of came up with it, Ari. Go ahead.
I think that A'ja Wilson is playing on a different level because Becky Hammond, well, first of all, people like playing with chips on their shoulders. She has a chip on their shoulder. The 4th place voter has really placed that excellence in A'ja Wilson, but Becky Hammond blames herself last year for not allowing A'ja the opportunity to do A'ja things, so I see that she has the opportunity and the space to do that this year.
I think if the vote was taken right now, it maybe not would, but it should be unanimous for A'ja Wilson to win the MVP. That is how well she is playing right now. She's improved from a season ago. She's facilitating more, getting defensive boards, bringing the ball down the floor. She's been incredibly dominant both offensively and defensively. That being said, one of the interesting things to me is, all right, which one of the New York Liberty players are going to emerge as their top MVP candidate? Because we've seen it in stretches from Breanna Stewart. We've seen it in stretches from Jonquel Jones. You brought up, we've seen it in stretches from Sabrina Ionescu as well. Alyssa Thomas, is she going to become part of the conversation in a big way like she was a season ago? So there are other players. Nafisa Collier is doing MVP caliber things right now. So some of it is going to be, you know, what do the standings look like at the end of the year? But it is going to be hard with the way Asia's playing for anyone to unseat that.
For New York, I'm looking at consistency. Like you said, any given day, it will be Stewie's night, JJ's night, or Sabrina's night. And I just wanted to see who has a sustainable excellence over the time.
Well, those two players, Nafisa Collier has the second shortest odds right now to bring home the MVP. A'ja Wilson, the only player with minus odds. She's sitting at minus 260 right now. All right, so it's almost time for tip-off. There are the odds right there. A'ja minus 260. How about the reigning MVP plus 2,500 right there? We'll see if Stewie can pick it up a little bit. Cops
When
right
we're
there.
done, you can tell me what all of that means.
Yeah.
We got you.
Well,
All
right.
That's according to our
appreciate
good friends at ESPN, by the way. All right, so almost time for tip-off in the Commissioners Cup final between the Liberty and the Lynx. Now, the Liberty were an unstoppable force in the W last year. That was until they met the immovable object that was the Las Vegas Aces in the finals. And then, of course, we got the Minnesota Lynx, who have kind of, again, surprised everybody this year, but they are at the top of the Western Conference standing. So give me one X factor that you guys are looking for in this game. We'll start with you, Rebecca. Go ahead.
I'll give an X factor. I've talked about it a lot already. I'm going to go with Jonquel Jones. 1 for 5 in their matchup earlier this season. Is she going to have the kind of dominant performance that we've seen from her recently?
Okay.
I'm going to cheat the question and say whoever wins in rebounding wins the game.
Predictions? What do you think?
Oof.
I have a slight edge to New York.
Toss-up?
You know what? I will probably give a slight edge to New York. They're at home, sort of, and they have the fuel of underperforming when they met in their previous matchup.
And on any given night, any of them can really step up in a big way. So it's really hard for them to match up against that. They're bigger, and they go deeper in their bench. Their bench is very sustainable, and so I have New York.
But, man, Minnesota's good.
Yeah,
They are legit. So, look, I mean, sometimes boring wins. I mean, we talk about this team as, like, not the most exciting team. I don't.
For what?
But, like, boring wins. Look at the Michigan Wolverines football team. They were the most boring team ever, and they won the national championship. So,
Go, man.
look, each of the previous 3 Commissioners Cup title games included the eventual winning WNBA champion as well. So there's some good futures for both these teams as well.
Does that go on your LinkedIn profile?
Dynamite
boring
dropping.
wins.
That's exactly right. I'm changing my Twitter profile right there. That's the perfect one. We unfortunately are out of time. Thank you so much for tuning in and hanging out with us. It's been a pleasure. Enjoy the game tonight coming up in just a matter of minutes. We'll catch you next month in Phoenix for the WNBA All-Star Game. For Rebecca Lobo, Ari Chambers, and our entire crew, I'm Sam Ravech saying so long. Thanks again for watching WNBA Hoop Streams presented by Google.